All right, new year, it's 2025. What do you need to do to start and grow a successful consulting business in 2025? Let's break it down. I'm going to share with you some of the best practices, the steps you can take, the considerations that you certainly should consider based on what we've seen in working with thousands of consultants at consultingsuccess.com, but also based on my personal experience of building multiple consulting businesses over the last 20 plus years. Now, some of the things that I share with you here, you may have heard before, but others you maybe haven't. Most important, what I'm going to do in this video is just remove all the fluff. I want to give you the most important things to think about and really to look at how do they apply to you. So if you're an active consultant, you can overlay this on top of what you're already doing and just try and map it to see, am I doing all these things? Am I missing something here? Do I need to strengthen some area? If you're brand new and considering getting into consulting, this is a bit of a map and a plan that you can follow or at least consider. I will say if you want help with any of this stuff, just head over to consultingsuccess.com or click on the link below this video and we can share it with you and have a lot of additional resources. All right, so let's get into it. Again, I don't want to make this long-winded. I want to get into what truly matters to build a consulting business. So the first thing, the most important thing is you need to think about what are you world-class at solving? What is the problem that you can solve, the challenge that you have experience in creating a successful solution and positive outcome and creating value, because you want to think about where can you deliver the most value. If you overcomplicate this, you will start to think about all the different things that you can do for all the different types of people that you can do it for. And that is almost certainly going to not only create more complexity and confusion and overwhelm, but you're not going to be focused. You're going to try and be all things to all people. And today, in 2025, there's more choice, more options, more variables, right? More noise in the marketplace, more ads than we've ever had before. And that means that the people that you ultimately want to help and serve, buyers, right? Consulting clients, are bombarded. They're overwhelmed with all of that. For you to cut through the noise and to cut through the clutter, you need to be laser focused. So think about what is the problem that you are truly world-class at solving, and then where can you deliver the most value? And then the third consideration here that ties into these, because the kind of three keys, is where have you created results before? So when people say to me, and Michael, can I be a successful consultant? One of the first questions that I will ask is, well, what have you done so far, right? Have you delivered results? Do you have experience solving specific problems? Have you created value people actually care about? Because if the answer to that is no, if the answer is, well, actually, no, I really haven't done any of those things. I can't solve any specific problems. I'm not sure what those even are. I don't think I can really deliver value to people, or I'm not clear on that. And I really haven't created much in terms of positive outcome or results for organizations or people inside of organizations. If you don't have those things, it means that you're most likely not ready to become a consultant. I'm not trying to be negative here. Anyone that knows me knows I'm a very positive, optimistic person, but I'm also a realist, meaning that where people tend to struggle is when they don't have these things nailed. What creates an opportunity for you as a consultant is that you can solve problems that people have. They're problems that they want to invest in solving, and you can demonstrate that you have the experience to deliver those results and to solve that problem. If you don't have that yet, you need to get that experience. Now, how do you do that? Well, you can either do that by taking on some, pro bono free engagements. If you can land those even, you might find them through nonprofits or being part of, some board, working your kind of connections and network and so forth. You can do that, right? You can get that experience, read a whole bunch of books, study, apply yourself, start to build that track record of results, then have it. Or you go and work for a company and you get that experience, you build those muscles, then you transition that into starting a consulting business. But I'm going to assume for the rest of this video today that you already have skills. You have experience solving problems, delivering results and value. So the next thing now for you to be thinking about is being very focused. What is one specific problem that you are very well positioned to solve? So one specific problem that you are well positioned to solve, and what is one specific result and outcome that you will deliver by solving that problem? Now, I want you to think through that from the perspective of what does the marketplace actually care about? If you can solve a problem that nobody cares about, if you can deliver a result that nobody wants, you're gonna have a really hard time selling that. Where people start to see their business really take off in a positive way is when they've identified a problem that people actually want to solve. It's a challenging problem, it's a valuable problem for them to solve, and they want the outcome, they want the result that they will receive by solving that. So you need to get clear on those things. Now, if you want help to get clear on that, the rest of this video will give you some guidance on that. But again, head over to consultingsuccess.com. We have lots of resources, or even just check the rest of these videos on YouTube or our Consulting Success podcast, because we have a lot of hours of free resources for you if you want to go that path. Now, the next consideration, figure out what is a problem that you're very good at solving. What is a specific result that you can deliver that you believe people will want and will get when you solve that problem for them. The next thing is for you to think about who is actually going to be willing to invest to solve that problem. So who has that problem and who is in a position to be able to invest to solve that problem? Because if you identify people that want to solve a problem, but they can't make a financial investment to solve it, there's no business there. So you need to figure out who are the actual people that have that problem, that want that result, and have the money and the ability and the desire to invest to solve that problem. You want to think through that. You want to map those things out. The next consideration for you is to start to think about how will you deliver on that? So you're clear on what problem you solve, what result you create. Now you want to think about what is the process or the program, the method that you will solve that problem and deliver that result. Is it through workshops? Is it through some kind of an assessment, an audit, and then a deeper dive engagement? Is it a structured, productized program? What does your method look like? The system, the process, the program. This is essentially about what does your offer look like. You don't need to have it 100% detailed out, but you should have an outline so that when somebody says, what do you do and how do you do it, you can explain it to them. The clearer that you are on what your offer is and what problem it solves and what result you deliver, the more confidence buyers will see in your offer, and the more confident they are, the more willing they will be to make that investment. If you're talking to a buyer and they say, what do you do? And you explain it and they go, well, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, we have that problem like that. How do you solve that? I don't really know, or I'm not really sure yet. They're going to essentially say, well, that sounds interesting. Like maybe get in touch when you figure that out. So you want to think through what is the structure, the process, the program, right? The method that you will use to deliver that result. And my suggestion for you to think about this is consider, based on your experience, what do you need to do to create or to be confident that you can deliver that result? So imagine you're working with your ideal client. What do you actually need to do? What steps you need to take them through in order to deliver the result, to solve that problem and to give them the result that they want? That should be the beginning of your offer, and think through that. Next is pricing. So you've outlined what the offer looks like. Now you need to think about, well, how do I price this? And what I'll say about pricing, because a lot of people will talk about how you need to use value-based pricing, ROI pricing, or other pricing models. And I'll just say to you very directly, that is the direction that you should ultimately go in most cases, but that's not where you should start. And that's what most people won't tell you this, but it's important that to start, you just have a very simple pricing model. Why? Because when you're getting started, you do not know how long things will take. You don't know yet what an engagement will actually look like. You don't know if you're gonna have to add on something or spend more time here or there. So generally, if you're brand spanking new in the world of consulting, hourly fees or project-based rates are a great way to go about this, or to use a retainer model where the client is paying you a certain amount every single month. Why? Because each of those tends to lend itself better to having a little bit more flexibility. Now, project-based rates can be a little bit challenging in that if you say that to a buyer, that's gonna be $25,000, and then you end up needing to spend a lot more time or bringing in additional resources to deliver on that, and your actual cost is $35,000, you've lost a bunch of money on that project potentially. So you need to think about that. But the reality is, even if you end up losing a little bit of money or don't make as much money as you want on your first project, you've likely learned a heck of a lot. And now you can take that, and now you know what you need to do. You know how long it's going to take. You generally know how much it's going to cost. And so now you can move that second project with more confidence and adjust your rates as necessary, up, down, different models. So keep things simple in the early days, right? Don't overthink it. You just want to land that first project or second project, and you want to get a really strong kind of grasp on what does it actually look like to deliver on this and to deliver successfully. Then you can move to more advanced pricing models. So if you want help with optimizing your pricing strategy, we have a lot more resources for that throughout our YouTube videos, Consulting Success Podcast, or over on consultingsuccess.com. Just click the link below this video, I should say. So what do you do next? You've mapped out now your pricing, right? You have your offer, you know what problem you solve, the result that you create. You've identified who you believe is in a position that has that problem, that wants to solve it and can make the investment. The next thing that you need to do is to now start to actually find those people. So how do you do that? Well, there's lots of different ways that you can market and sell your consulting services, but here's where I would begin. I would start by looking at your network. Your network is almost always going to be the best place to start. I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of consultants on the Consulting Success podcast, and almost every single one of them, I'd say 90+%, when I ask this question about, how do you get your first few clients, 90+% will say it came from my network. So send an email to your network. Let them know what you're doing. This is also why it's important to build strong relationships with your network, but get out there, right? Let people know. Again, you can now be very clear, right? You can say who your ideal clients are, what problem you solve, what result you can create. You can do all of that in an email because you thought through it. And that's going to make it easier for people to say, oh yeah, I know somebody who has that problem, or I know somebody that you should talk to who fits that criteria. It's much easier for people to say, yeah, I'd like your help with this, when you've done a good job of defining what it actually is that you do and what problems you solve and what results that you create and who might be an ideal client. So leverage your network, get very clear about who your ideal clients are, and start trying to get referrals and introductions to those people. And the next best thing you can do is content. So that's speaking, writing, videos, podcasts, any format or medium that you can use to provide value and at the same time demonstrate your expertise. So think about the value of giving a talk in front of 50 ideal clients. You get to demonstrate your expertise. You get to provide value to them. Is there a chance that there's going to be a few people in that crowd that, if they have that problem because they're ideal clients, they're gonna reach out to you or want to have a conversation after you give a talk? 100%, right? Like, there's a very high likelihood. So you want to be prolific with your content. You want to continue putting it out there, but the key thing is you need to make sure that your content aligns with who your ideal clients are, and that your content speaks to the problems that they have and the results that they want. If you just put out content and content and content, but you're not being focused, you will likely see that your content is not going to do very much for you. All right, so the more conversations that you have, the better. The name of the game in consulting is conversations. It's very, very rare for a buyer of consulting services to push a button, pay you $50,000 without having a conversation and start working together, right? It doesn't work that way. Almost every single consulting engagement begins with or requires at least one, in some cases multiple conversations with buyers, depending on the size of the engagement, the complexity of the relationship. So optimize for conversations. Always think about how can you have more conversations. If there's somewhere that you can go in your local city to meet people, if it's worth getting on an airplane and traveling to set up a whole bunch of meetings with potential clients, going to conferences, events, whatever gets you in closer proximity to your ideal clients to have more conversations is what you should be optimizing for. There are many, many opportunities that are available today globally, right? There's more people with the way that the world now works. You could be in Argentina and work with somebody in Germany. You can be in the US and work with somebody in the Middle East. Borders are not stopping opportunity. There's a lot of people out there, and the clearer that you can be about the problems that you solve and the types of people that you can help, the more intentional you can be about getting in front of those people. And that creates a lot of potential opportunity for you. This is why we have so many clients in our Clarity Coaching program that go from zero. They're just getting started. They're leaving their jobs and they come into the program, and fast forward a little while and they're already making way more than they did in senior executive roles. They're making hundreds of thousands of dollars, then they're making high six figures. And in many cases, they go on to making seven figures or multi-seven figures and building a business. There's no right or wrong. Some people want to stay solo independent consultants and make $500,000 a year. Others want to have a couple of people around them, or even build a bigger team and make a lot more, right? And build a much bigger business. Whatever you want to do, you can do it if you know what to do, if you have the right system, the right process, and the right support to achieve it. So I'm just going to say this doesn't happen overnight, right? This is about building long-term success. But if you focus on doing the right things, you can truly be incredibly successful. And I believe that 2025 is going to be an amazing year for consultants. This is what we're seeing in terms of opportunities, what we're talking to our clients about. So if you'd like help, we have programs that can support you at whatever stage you are at, whether you're just getting started, whether you're already doing 250 to 750,000 per year, or 750,000 to 3 million plus per year. We have different programs for consultants. Reach out by clicking the link below this video, or head over to consultingsuccess.com.